Hello everyone. No Josh here for the intro. Editor Bigpod recording this alone. Let's cue the music, shall we?
Hey guys, welcome to No Talks Allowed. I'm your host Josh, and today I'm wearing my wonderful white t-shirt today. Thanks, cats. And I brought with me today Mr. Bigpod, who's wearing a gray t-shirt that looks like it used to have something written on it.
Yeah, I used to. Long time ago.
It's a wonder what washing machines do to written print on shirts, you know. Bigpod, I've been thinking about this here again, you know, because I was looking to actually record a video this week, and I realized, besides like talking about how my town was hit by a tornado, the last video I released was part of the Home Lab series, where I had Fedora Linux installed on my server, and I was configuring things on Fedora Linux.
Where you started to do the configuring, you mean?
Yeah, where I started. Where I'm at now is we removed Fedora and we installed Debian on that same server. And that Debian server...
How many times? How many times did you install Debian and Fedora in between the then and now?
Well,
Knowing that's an important question.
It did run Red Hat for a little bit. And then it did run Arch Linux for a little bit as well, because I was tempted to go that route.
Yeah, makes sense.
But it's been Debian for a hot minute now, I can tell you that much. But, anyways, it now runs like 7 virtual machines. One of which is acting as my NAS. Another one as a Docker host. Another one I'm using as a jump host for our services. And then I have a couple others for like doing some special sauce stuff, like a NixOS one, because I still want to see if I can get NixOS to work with my printers and so on. And it has like grown in elaboration as it's went. And as I built up this server, I didn't document any of it.
So you have to go all over again.
I've been thinking about it. Maybe it's time we just nuke the server, reinstall Debian on it from scratch, and let's just restart the Home Lab series and, start talking, just start from scratch all over again. Because heaven forbid, it's been like almost 2 years since I put a video on that channel. So we might just need to reignite that algorithm.
Okay. Yeah.
That's just the thing that's been creeping in the back of my head here. Maybe it's time I get back from being like this podcaster guy and be like this influencing YouTuber that people pretend to think that I am.
Sure.
In the meantime, of course, we got a couple things to talk with our audience about here, because we got some funding projects that we got to come up with here. As we have been having discussions between myself and Bigpod, and we want to expand our internal services a little bit, which might mean that we might need to rent another VPS server. Oh no, the terror of $5. So, I can float it, but sure would be nice for, a couple more listeners to go to patreon.com/notuxallowed and drop us a couple dollars. Because, we're doing this stuff the hard way. We're literally renting VPSs, setting up our own self-hosted podcast service, and distributing it to you. In the meantime, we've also set up a lot of security systems. We even have a monitoring status page, Bigpod. That was our whole project yesterday, was getting that working. in a fashion that, we wanted to do. So if you go to status.tuckspace.com, you can actually see the status of our services. All 2 of them.
Yeah, that might change future.
Yeah. Obviously, if you want to see the stuff that we're setting up for ourselves, you can just go to that page and you can see all the things that we're setting up. We put that there for you to keep us responsible, because the next one is going to be our own internal Nextcloud service.
Yes.
That's the goal. Because we're going to get that set up. That way, we can do less hacky things to make sure that, my video and audio get sent to our editor, which is, of course, Bigpod, who is on the other side of the planet from me. Because currently we're just kind of just doing it over, over the wonderful thing called our console terminal. And Bigpod is a big fan of web GUIs.
Yes, I am.
Big fan of web GUIs. So, we need to drop our terminal reliance in the name of Bigpod.
Yeah.
Because, he's been talking about, like, oh, I hate these scripts, Josh. I always hate about you bitching about how the disk is full on the server.
Well, it's still going to be full on server.
Well, yeah, because you don't delete anything. That's the problem.
Something like that.
Yeah, so, anyways, that's what we've got going on for ourselves here. So just go to patreon.com /NoTuxAllowed. Drop us a couple dollars there. There's a couple people that already do already. But the closer we get to breaking even, the more likely I am to order more pizza and stuff like that. Well,
we might get more services, more interesting things, and more benefits for you guys.
Yeah, maybe. Like, I look forward to the day where we're fluid enough, we can just have our own AI server. I think that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
What can our community do to our AI agent? Because heaven forbid, I want to see them completely destroy it and send it on a path to destroying humanity for the sake of memes. That said, Bigpod, it is time for some security news.
Okay.
Because we are a security podcast. Not because we're serious about it, but because we find it fascinating sometimes.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to talk about Burger King. Almost. Because that one's just hilarious. But we're going to talk about something a little bit more serious, and that is the NPM ecosystem. So, Bigpod, I know you haven't read too much into this, so I'm just going to start talking about the article here. But once I'm done, just go ahead and tell us how bad this could have been. Well, actually, how bad it was, but how great of a thing that how great of a thing that would have been. But anyways, this is regarded as the largest supply chain compromise in the history of the NPM ecosystem itself, according to this Bleeping Computer article. This has impacted nearly 10% of all cloud environments, but thankfully the attackers made a little profit of it because they caught this within like 2 hours. But anyways, earlier, either this week or last week, Josh Junin fell for a password reset phishing lure that compromised many of his highly popular NPM packages, being Chalk, dgub.js, and a couple others that basically total up to about 2.6 billion weekly downloads. After gaining access to these accounts, the attackers then immediately did what attackers do best and pushed malicious updates into the code. But thankfully, they were quickly spotted and they were removed all within 2 hours. Now, these packages are fundamental building blocks for nearly every single JavaScript and Node project. And they were found in about 99% of cloud environments, according to numbers. That's a little sketch.
Doubt that.
That's a little sketch.
I'm gonna explain why in a little bit, but yeah. I highly doubt that.
Yeah. Well, anyways, uh, because it was only available for like 2 hours, the attackers didn't make a whole lot of money off of this. They only made like $1,000, and most of it's just like, I guess. Let's see. The malware injected code targeting browser environments, hooking Ethereum and Solana signing requests, swapping cryptocurrency wallet addresses with attacker-controlled ones. Oh, okay. So it was a crypto hack.
Yeah. So, to go in a bit more detail here. So, first of all, it is important to know that basically this was targeting browser packages, but most packages, based on my understanding, weren't actually meant for browsers, meant for things like tooling and debugging, which means that most packages that were affected by this problem had zero, and I mean zero, impact on users. Second thing is that even if you or whatever program you're using was using affected packages, apparently a lot of people didn't download in those 2 hours the updates. So in most cases, the most problematic people would be people who have like hourly rebuilds and redeployments and stuff like that.
So, like,
So
back-end web developers.
front end,
Yeah, front-end web
only for
developers,
front end
yeah.
applications. And I honestly, the fact that they got less than 1,000 is actually, well, honestly, far more than I actually thought would be possible, because of the how random this attack was. This wasn't targeted. This was probably a large scale attack on many what's this many users of NPM who have packages, and well, one of them got caught into this, well, phishing scam in reality,
Yeah.
which then got hackers access to his or theirs NPM packages, which then probably in automated fashion they added this code for swapping cryptocurrency addresses when doing transactions.
Yeah, well, it turns out that both Chalk and Debug.js, or Dgub.js, are both actually dependencies of Node.js itself. And it actually does make use of both those libraries. One for debugging. I don't really know what Chalk does.
But important note is that Node.js, for example, doesn't actually run in browser.
That's true.
It runs on server. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like not every package on NPM will run in the front end, so it won't be affected by this hack. And as far as I know, about 27 packages or something like that, and less than half of them were normally used in front-end applications. Still scary, but was still scary because what could have been done if it was targeting something like, I don't know, doing reverse shells or on the actual server side.
That is true.
But it is important to know that this isn't actually the first package that was actually hit by this type of phishing campaign. Maintainer account for DuckDB was also impacted earlier with same crypto stealing code, but yeah, the same problem applies. DuckDB doesn't actually do front end; it's on the back end or on the back end. Yes, just on the back end. So I don't think this is actually that. This attack was that effective at this time.
Well, I'm glad that was such narrowly focused. So, Bigpod, Apple did a thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once again, Apple did a thing.
Yep. They do
So
a couple things per year, but this was what they call an Apple event.
yes,
And I didn't watch it, but thankfully, you might have.
yeah. Well, let's start. They released few new devices, of course, as they always do in such Apple events.
I mean, it's a
So
new
let's
year.
start with AirPod Pro 3. So these are like they're truly wireless headphones or earphones. They're the Pro version of them actually. So supposedly they feature new design with incredible sound quality and world's best in-ear active noise cancellation, with an exceptional fit and stability, heart rate sensing during workouts, and extended battery life, according to the blurb from Apple.com newsroom.
Well, that's interesting. I want to know how like these little tiny earbuds are able to get so long of battery life. Like has
Uh,
like
because
how?
honestly, because I don't have to actually play the music so loud, and two, the battery doesn't have to be big because, well, it's only playing sound, and it's not. In general, it's not sending any data; just receiving data.
I get
So I don't have to do a lot of processing, a lot of compute, a lot of anything. Just blast sound out, and blasting sound out is really energy cheap, if we're honest, for this kind of device.
I guess that could be true. Now, I did watch like this 7-minute explainer video that basically just like quickly summarized everything. And like the one thing that I heard about these AirPods is probably going to be something that they have with like the rest of their lineup, where it's got this wonderful AI integration in it because it's Apple. They've got to have AI in there somehow. Shareholders just demand it, but it will do live speech translations. So say if Bigpod decides he's going to read like an email that he got that's written entirely in Slovenian, and he doesn't read it to me in English, but instead he reads it in Slovenian, I can put on my AirPods and listen to it, and it supposedly translates Slovenian to English for me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it'll
Well,
actually do
no.
No?
It can only do English, French, German, Portuguese, Spanish, and upcoming Italian, Japanese, Korean, and simplified Chinese.
Okay, well, you know what? I was hopeful. All right? But I still think that that's probably one of the more better uses for AI in this application.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you should probably, pick up a little bit of language yourself, and that way you can, audit the AI speech, because heaven forbid, it might just mistranslate things for you, because it's AI after all. But
Probably.
I think that's a pretty neat little feature. But let's get talking about these phones, right?
Yeah,
Because
let's do phones.
I heard that you've got some thoughts, but we're not going to talk
Yes.
about we're not going to talk about the Air yet. We're just going to talk
So
about we're just
in
gonna,
general, start general.
yeah.
So this is finally the release of Apple's new design language, liquid glass, on a phone platform. Ooh. By the way, that just essentially just how icons look and how things look. It's not a whole thing.
Yeah.
They make it out to be, but they released few new models with notable exception of 17 plus, the large size base model, which to me is strange, but okay. So let's dig into first the iPhone 17. It is the base model phone with well, base features: two cameras, some front-facing camera, and not really that interesting things. Well, the more interesting thing is now they include a 120 hertz ProMotion display on a base model, which wasn't true up until now, which means you get better battery life because you have a dynamic variable refresh rate. if you're not using your phone or if you're like reading a book, it goes down all the way to 1 hertz, which is actually pretty good if you
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah.
And the display can go all the way up to 300 nits at peak brightness, which is very bright.
That is plenty bright for a phone.
Yeah. And it is equipped with A19 SoC with display engine. It also has neural engine with 16 cores, a CPU with 2 performance and 4 efficiency cores, so it's a hexa-core CPU,
Yep.
and a 5-core GPU.
With the ability to do hardware accelerated ray tracing for those that care.
Yes. Yes. So that's the base model. Now let's jump into the Pro model and Pro Max. So the standard sizes, all that, with multiple colors, 3 colors specifically. My personally favorite color is the cosmic orange, or I like to call it the rust orange, and has a large camera bump, what they call a plateau.
Yeah.
So yes, it's literally across the entire width of the device for actually a good chunk of the device, like
So
probably 1/3.
So, like my Google Pixel here.
Yes.
Yeah, which this is a Pixel 7. It came out a while ago.
Yeah. Well, they moved a lot of components up into that plateau, so like your SoC and stuff like that. So now they have below it a lot more space for battery. Apparently, this one has a lot more battery.
Yeah, so much so that even the base model iPhone is reporting 30 hours of video
Yes.
playback. Now,
And Pro,
I assume that there's
36.
I assume that there is an asterisk behind that number specifically because, maybe they weren't doing like 4K playback or anything like that.
Yeah, nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody
what
knows.
exactly they do. And they went with a new unibody design with for the back, with, strangely, after 2 years of using titanium, no titanium, with a aerospace grade aluminum alloy. And the CPU they have inside the 17 Pro is A19 Pro, which has 2 cores, 2 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores, with 6-core GPU, with each core having added a neural accelerator.
Yeah, so just letting you know, the only difference between these two chips is that the neural accelerator has just one more core than the base model.
The GPU has 1 more core. It's probably a bit faster. Probably has more, like, probably it's overclocked.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
or
it
just
has
run
higher
at a
base
higher
clock.
right? Yeah.
It is higher base clock CPU, and that's it. Like, there isn't probably much difference between A19 and A19 Pro. But now let's talk about the talk of the town.
Oh,
The
yes.
new iPhone Air. No number, just iPhone Air.
Yeah.
That could mean either next year we don't have a new iPhone Air, or we might get an iPhone Air 2. Who knows?
Yeah. Now,
And
this thing boasts all the same features as the base model iPhone, except
yeah,
it's skinny.
yeah, and has a better CPU. So it's basically a thin iPhone. So if you saw in like the last release of Samsung, which is probably the start of the year, Samsung made S25 Edge, a thin phone at 5.8 millimeters, with actually small camera bump. Comparably, Apple made iPhone Air with
Yeah.
which is 5.6 millimeters thin, so 0.2 millimeters thinner, but it has a large camera bump at the top of the
It
the
has a
back.
camera bump to go with its camera bump.
Yes, and more importantly, it's across the whole width of the screen instead of like Samsung, which only has a tiny little bit of a camera bump.
Yeah.
But I read somewhere, I don't know how true it is, but that camera bump essentially brings the entire, or like to correct myself, Apple calls it a plateau, not camera bump. Sorry, Apple. It brings it up to above 10 millimeters of thickness at the thickest part.
Okay.
To me, that's insane. That you get to call this a thinnest iPhone when it's thicker than some iPhones at the
So
thickest part.
they're advertising this as a skinny device. Now, remember
Yes.
when these skinny device smartphones first came out, Bigpod?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I remember.
I remember hearing about this thing called Bendgate.
Yes, when
Because
people sat on their
because
phones and
people
they
would put
bent,
their phones
yes.
in their back pocket, take a seat, and then get up, and their phone would be bent, and the screen would be horribly broken.
Yeah.
Do you think that they fixed this because the phone's even bigger than it was back then?
One of the things that they say that it's the most durable iPhone to date, and it uses a titanium as for bodies, so it might actually be kind of durable. But we're gonna have to see for people who all they do with their iPhone is break them apart to see what actually is true and what not. Can't wait for those bent tests. But they did make the thin iPad, the big one, which is like really thin. It actually survives the bend test, so maybe. On other hand, of course, we can also look at something like the S25 Edge that Samsung made, or the newest Fold, which also is, when unfolded, is extremely thin. As far as I know, it's thinner than the iPhone Air when it's unfolded. Of course, when it's folded, is about the thickness of an S25 Ultra. But more importantly, as with iPhone 17 Pro, most components are within the camera bump. So there is so in the other part there is all battery, and there isn't even a SIM slot on the Air.
Oh, okay. That's
It's eSIM only.
oh
No matter where, you can only get it if you have a eSIM capability.
well. It could have it could have had a SIM card.
Yeah, but then they would need to waste some space for SIM slot.
Yeah, just put in more battery.
Yeah, so they put a more battery in instead of a SIM slot. And in my opinion, based on how thick it is, I do think it needs all the battery.
Yeah.
Also, they released a battery pack with it, or they will release a battery pack with it, specifically made for iPhone Air.
Okay, so this is probably some form-fitting battery pack that makes it so super comfortable to hold while you have your phone plugged into it.
Or it might be so it actually has sensible battery life, because they do say it has all day battery life. Problem is, probably has all day 1 day battery life. Just, I don't know whose day that is.
Yeah.
Maybe not mine. Maybe some guy in the office who leaves his phone in the drawer. Because based on my experience, I can have a 3 day battery life even after 2 years on my Samsung. If I turn GPS on, forget the 3 day. I can barely barely survive for 2 on my phone. GPS eats battery. But interestingly, Apple also on the iPhone Air uses their own hardware. Like for example, they have an N1 networking chip, wireless networking chip. It's first Apple's wireless networking chip. It has support for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and for some reason Thread. Josh, do you know what Thread is?
No, not really. Wait,
So,
isn't that like some wireless standard?
yes, but what wireless? Of course, it's a wireless chip. Of course, it will be a wireless standard. Do you know what Thread is?
That's not the thing used for the AirTags. I think that those
No,
operate over
that's
Bluetooth.
Bluetooth.
Yeah.
That's a low power Bluetooth.
It's not the connection to the watch because I thought that was also
No,
Bluetooth.
it's nothing of that sort. It's a public thing. So
Oh, okay.
think about it. So, do you have any idea what it is without googling?
So the only thing that can come close to my mind is mesh networking.
Exactly. It's IPv6 based low power mesh networking made specifically for Internet of Things.
Okay.
Thread is used sometimes, or most of the time, as a transport protocol or transport standard for Matter. Do you know what Matter is?
Oh, I know exactly what Matter is because I happen to have Home Assistant deployed in my house, and Home Assistant talks about Matter all the time. Which
Okay, now please explain to me what Matter is, because in my notes all I have written is some smart home standard thing. Don't ask me about it because I don't know.
so
Good I have Josh here.
in the world of Internet of Things, there are multiple different communication standards that these devices can communicate over, and they are also actual wireless standards. So that way they're not using our standard 802.11 Wi-Fi, and
Yeah.
clogging up our Wi-Fi networks. Now, the big popular ones in this space are Zigbee and Z-Wave.
Yes.
Zigbee is probably the most popular one, and then Z-Wave is like the older one. It's still fairly popular. I personally prefer Z-Wave if I'm going to go with the wireless standard between the two of them, because Z-Wave operates at 800 megahertz compared to Zigbee, which operates at 2.4 gigahertz. But Matter, I believe, operates somewhere around 11 to 1200 megahertz. I'm not.
Let's see what.
Yeah,
Let's see.
but anyways, Matter, unlike the others, is a completely open standard for a communication protocol. It was introduced by or I don't know if Home Assistant introduced it, but they were the ones that really pushed it.
Isn't Matter that standard for IoT that was set by whole lot of companies and was meant to be like the standard for everything?
Yes.
So, all I know about Matter is that I used to joke, Matter doesn't matter.
That's true, because
all I
heaven
know.
forbid, for every standard, there's going to be some new standard established to incorporate all the other standards, making just one more standard.
Okay, so I just opened Matter standard Wikipedia page, which is the most I'm gonna do on learning about this, and a lot of companies seem to be supporting it.
Yeah, like it caught on really quick, because it was pushed initially by Home Assistant, but it was created by Amazon, which then
And Google and Apple and all sorts of other companies.
yeah, because because you got to think about it. Amazon has like their Echo Dots, Google has the Google Home, Apple even has like the HomeKit devices.
HomeKit, yeah.
Yeah, and they're getting tired of these consumers going to Walmart, buying a random thing that advertises that it's smart and cloud enabled, and then finding out that it doesn't actually work with my HomeKit or my Google Home or my Amazon Echo services, even though it says so on the box. So, they all decided to hammer Matter into place here,
Yeah.
and it's I think that ultimately it's a good thing because it is, unlike the other protocols, it's royalty free.
Okay,
The entire SDK, it's
but
completely free.
you do need to actually have a actually deploy such device, like to sell it. You need a certificate, which
That's true. There is
you get by being a member, which requires membership fees.
Yep, because compliance, which is
Yes.
another thing that I think is good. Because you got to think, this is something that's broadcasting a wireless signal in your house.
Yes.
There's got to be some kind of, company behind it that enforces some kind of compliance of what you're doing. Because heaven forbid, that could shut down your emergency services broadcasting. Like, actually. Or say if you have like a remote heart monitor because you have like because you have a heart condition, it could affect that. It could be some serious stuff. So it's important that that these entities that a compliance entity does exist in this space.
Yeah.
So I do think that ultimately Matter is a good thing. So
now I have a question for you.
What's that?
Since now we know what Matter and Thread are, do you think it's useful or a good idea or slash whatever the Thread, that support for Thread is in an iPhone networking chip or in a phone networking chip in general? What do you think about that, and is it that useful, the three dots?
So it's dependent on the company behind it, which is already Apple, which means that's going to be used very, very central to Apple.
Yes.
It could be the new way that AirTags in the future might communicate, because heaven forbid, as far as I can tell, Apple's the ones behind Thread.
Yeah.
It is all Apple all the time, to my understanding. Which means that, of course, it's going to be another thing for the vendors, for the vendor lock-in. Which Apple is famous for, because if you're invested in the Apple ecosystem, it's very inconvenient to get out. Like, in all honesty. I know a person in my area who bought into like the iPhone, the MacBook, and the iPad.
Actually, no.
No?
Interestingly, Thread was made before Apple joined the group. 4 years before.
Oh, okay.
So in 2018 Apple joined, but in 2014 Thread Group Alliance was formed to create a networking standard for IoT applications.
Let's see.
And
here.
initial members were ARM, Big S Solutions, NXP, Google's Nest Lab, Osram, Samsung, Silicon Labs, Somfy, Tyco International, Qualcomm, and Yale Locks.
Okay. I just found the Apple developer thing here for Thread. It's a low-power wireless mesh network protocol. Now, when they advertise low power, that kind of makes me wonder if it's using a low quality lower band signal, which that could be huge. Because if it's not operating on 2.4 gigahertz, instead it's operating at a lower frequency, like say 800 megahertz or like 700 megahertz. It's going to run a little.
According to Wikipedia,
yeah.
Thread uses 6 low VPN networking, which is IPv6 over low power wireless personal area network, and it is IEEE 802.15.4 based, as far as I understand, I guess. And it uses, based on what I'm reading, it uses 2.4 gigahertz spectrum.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
same spectrum as Zigbee. So it is not. So it's gonna still congest your bandwidth of Wi-Fi, which is one of the main reasons why you want something
Yeah,
other than
but
Wi-Fi, like
what it looks like here
Z-Wave.
is that Thread is like the low-level networking technology that Matter is using.
Yes.
Okay, that's what it looks like. So I think, and it's BSD licensed, of course, so it's also nice and open. Probably with no royalties. Let's see the Connect over Home IP chip project, which is now led by called Matter. Oh, okay. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. Like that's like the software stack behind Matter,
Yeah.
which is the thing that handles your IPv6 protocols, and as well as agrees and disagrees on like how the mesh network is ran. Like say, hey, your signal is not strong enough anymore. I'm going to drop you from the network until I see you come back with a stronger signal.
It's essentially Wi-Fi of IoT.
Yep, it's Wi-Fi for the sake of Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So if we go back to iPhone Air, it has the same A9 Pro CPU, but with one less GPU core, but still with added neural accelerators. So it's not exactly the same as A19, but has the same size GPU, same size CPU component, and GPU cores each has its own neural accelerator.
So, I busted out their compare chart, by the way, and I'm comparing the iPhone Air with the iPhone 17, the base model.
Okay.
The only difference between the two of them is that the Air is skinnier and slightly taller.
Oh wow.
That's it.
Yeah. There are some other differences actually. Apparently, iPhone Air also has their new and improved C1X 5G modem, which is their second generation or 1.5 generation of their own internal like Apple made mobile connection modems instead of using something like Qualcomm or Intel. And interestingly, Air only has one back camera instead of two or three. And it's what is known as fusion camera, which is essentially there is way more pixels than you have access to, so they can do cropping and shit when zooming.
Yeah.
That's your zoom. That's your fusion camera. In reality, it's pixel binning and nothing else. But they have to have a fancy name for it. I can't wait for them to figure out a new thing like, I don't know, front-facing speaker, and name it some ridiculous name, which is actually something. It doesn't have bottom-firing speakers. It only has one amplified speaker on the top.
Yeah, that actually is interesting. So, I remember the days of when you could get those Android phones with like the dual front-facing speakers, and I still think that those are the best-sounding phones you could possibly get.
Yeah, those were amazing.
Yeah, they were amazing. Why did they stop making those? Like, honestly, I don't care about the waterproof rating. I don't care.
Well, I do.
It's not like I'm going to dunk my phone in the rain or in a puddle of water or anything like that, you know?
Maybe not for like you're gonna do it, but you might do it accidentally. Or like what I like to do with my phone, since it is waterproof, I like to stick it under tap and clean it if it's dirty.
I don't clean my phone.
I do. I got used to it when I was still going to school.
I mean,
I was going by bus.
every now and then I might get like a paper towel and wipe the screen off because I get tired of looking at all the fingerprints on it. But that's really about like the most cleaning I ever actually do on my phone.
Well,
But
for me, I used to walk to school or to bus and then went by bus to school. And in the morning, I used to uh, eat fruit or something like that. So I had sugary hands.
oh,
I also
okay,
also
okay.
handled my phone because I was like listening to music or reading something or
Yeah, yeah.
playing games on
So you
it.
got the sticky
So
hand syndrome all over
so
your
it was
phone. Okay.
so it was sticky phone. So what I did when I came to school, I stick it under water and washed it, and I got all sorts of funny reactions by my classmates. Reactions like what are you doing? Are you insane? When I just stick it under water and started washing it like it's like, I don't know, my hand.
Hey, it's supposed to resist the water, so it ought to take a good cleaning with some hand soap.
It has IP IP68 water protection rating. It should take a flowing water.
Yeah, it should. Well, anyways, they also announced a couple watches or a few watches, a
Yeah.
lot of watches. Apparently, the watches
Yeah.
actually sell.
Apparently, yes. And apparently they are now 11th version.
Yeah, that's a lot of watches.
Yeah. With specifically they released I believe three models, the SE, the standard and ultra. And the ultra is very expensive. Oh yeah, and they also standardized the version numbers for their operating system. It's now WatchOS 26 and iOS 26 instead of some random number.
Okay, okay, that makes it a little bit more understandable for me. So, I think that's what we have for the show today, right, Big Pod?
Yeah.
Yeah, like okay. Well, anyways, if for some reason you guys would like to give us some contact, you can send us an email to contact@tuckspace.com and tell us how big of an Apple fanboy you actually are, in detail. The person that writes me the longer the letter might actually get their email read on the show. Who knows? But of course, if you would like to talk to each other and argue about your love of Apple devices versus uh, the love of Android devices, or regret the days of making seeing if we could get Linux Mobile to actually be a thing, which it still isn't. And just go to talkspace.com/discord and just chat with each other about that. But of course, you can also find us on our own YouTube channels. They are linked in the show notes, so just click those links. You can watch Bigpod attempt to play City Skylines, and I might actually be making a video where I accidentally nuke my server again. But anyways, guys, we'll see you. We're out.
Goodbye.
Here.